Hello, Doug Cofiell, CEO of Ivystone. We just finished up market season, and more than anything around market, we heard a lot of questions about what's going on in the macro economy and kind of where things stand. It's a very unusual time. We've started to see a falling GDP and kind of a falling overall market at a time when we have nearly full employment, and we had a huge spike in gas prices that has now dipped a little bit. So we had these kind of rough times around the summer, normally around the time when people are receiving a lot of product. And we also have a situation where inventory levels have changed both for our retailers and for our suppliers. So vendors out there were able to catch up on goods, which is a great news for all of us. But there were a lot of shipments that took place kind of all at once, and then people got a lot of product in at the same time. So there's vendors sitting with a decent amount of inventory. So our patterns have changed a little bit. And what we're seeing is we're calling it kind of a regression to the mean, meaning that in the sense of the mean, the normal trend. Given all these factors, we saw some things at market that we were not necessarily surprised of, but we thought we'd fill you in on. Overall, we saw a very low cancellation of orders for fourth quarter kind of future shipments, despite the fact that people, they're expecting a good fourth quarter, in other words. So they booked out early and they're expecting a good fourth quarter. We're not getting really any cancellations. There's also, there was evidence of a slight trade down in price point, which was not shocking. So if you have a choice between an item that's, say, a $50 retail versus a $75 retail, we saw a little bit of change there. We saw it a little heavier on the lower priced item, just something to look out for. We also saw a little bit of a dip in the 2023 future bookings, which usually is the result of uncertainty. Uncertainty comes from a variety of issues, but these last couple of years make a lot of things uncertain. So it's not terribly surprising, but I think what we should expect this year is that there was a little less of pre-booking of everyday orders than there was in 2021. So we'll probably have a catch-up period as we come into the end of Q3 and end of Q4. So you'll be looking to jump in and make sure you have stock on those really solid items that have sold for you year after year. Some other things we saw across the markets was the return of the fashion side of the business a little bit less casual. You may have heard some of the results from the larger retailers that they had kind of a glut of casual wear, meaning that it's not going to be yoga pants and shorts every day. And the fashion business picking back up quite a bit. That's probably the biggest trend. And then the other thing we saw was that the pure furniture business saw a pretty serious dip, which would make sense because it was just an incredible year in 2021. So we're seeing a little bit of a slowdown in that heavier in-stock, what they call case good furniture, and kind of a pick back up on the fashion side, which would make sense with travel back and the services back. In combination, kind of what we see is that balancing out of goods and services purchases. Part of the reason for the full employment is that people are coming back to work on the services side, and those take up that's a lot of jobs out there. So you'll still hear about some layoffs. They're probably going to be in those businesses that were kind of cranked up during 2021. So that would be on the tech side. You'll hear stories of layoffs, maybe hiring freezes. But on the services side, we're seeing heavy demand for employment. It's overall good for our business. And the other thing just to keep in mind is that although we saw the spike in gas prices, now that we see some moderation there, that's something the customer sees every day when they're out and about. It's those gas prices are up in bright lights, and to see them come down a little bit, we'd expect that to spur on a little demand. So as you approach your Q3 and Q4, we wish you the best of luck, the most important time of the season. As always, if we can do anything for you at Ivystone, please reach out and let us know. Thanks.